What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Talk Chicken to Me podcast. I'm Kyle. I'll be your host, and we are going to be talking about chickens, and more chickens. So, to start, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about myself and how I got started, and just whatever comes to mind in the middle of that, because that's what podcasting is. So, I'm 16 years old. I started with chickens when I was 15, early 15, and I've had them for 2 years already. Surprisingly, it seems like it has not been that long, but really, it's been 2 years. And yes, so first thing I'm going to talk about is I originally wanted to start with 5 chickens. So I went to Rural King, any feed store, kind of. I went to Tractor Supply, Rural King, and all that, scoped out the chicks. I studied a whole year before I even decided about getting chickens because that's how I am. I like to study it and then get into it. So I studied for an entire year about chickens, what they need, what you need to do for them, all this crazy stuff for them. And anyway, I finally came to a point where I'm like, Dad, I need you to help me build a coop and we're getting chickens. And they agreed and they helped me get a scrap camper from our grandparents. And that was our first chicken coop. So, really, to start out with chickens, you don't have to be rich. You don't have to have all the money in the world. You literally can just start, find some free scrap wood, anything. Pallets are perfect for chicken coops, but just start and then you'll figure it out as you go. But anyway, getting back on track, I decided to start with 6 chickens because our family doesn't eat a ton of eggs, but we go through spurts where we love eggs and, normal family stuff. Sometimes we don't like it, sometimes we do. But I wanted 6 chickens, just enough for us to get a couple eggs a day. So we went into a Rural King, and since I'd studied so much about different breeds, they had a ton of different bins. There was like 12 or so different bins of different breeds of chicks. So I went in there wanting to get 6, and I actually came out with like 22 plus 2 turkeys. So we started out in the beginning way faster than we should have, which I don't regret it. I still really like my chickens, and they really have worked out for me. Everything worked out very good. I will tell you that. Even though 22 chickens is a lot to take in when you just started. But I'm very thankful that we did not get any more than that because I will tell you right now, chicken math is such a real thing. Like sometimes it's not as fast, but you may start with 3 chickens, but you want to have a coop ready for 12 because you're going to want more and you're going to figure out new breeds every day. Especially when I first started learning, I learned about like Polish and salmon favrils and silkies, and they look so fancy and awesome. And I just absolutely loved the Polish. I made my YouTube channel with a Polish emblem on it to start. I think it still has a Polish on there. And basically, I didn't own Polish for the first part of my YouTube career and like just owning chickens. I don't even think the first year I had Polish, but I just love them so much. I actually use them as my like uh the front to my YouTube and all that, like the picture you see when you search chicken farmer. So, yeah, they're very addicting and very fun, in my opinion. Some people don't like chickens, they think they're gross, but in my opinion, they're one of the most fun things to have. And yeah, they're a good time. So, anyway, we're going to get on to basically what breeds I'm breeding now at this point. So, like I said, I wanted to start with 5, went to 22, and I don't even have those 22 chicks I started out with because they got older and started like slowing down laying. And usually you sell them around a year and a half, and that's what I did. I sold off all of them and I already had some growing out. But I'm to the point where I want to be almost a breeder. So I started buying the chicks when they were about a year old. I bought the little chicks and I wanted them to grow out and replace them. So I was really thinking about it, and breeds that stuck out to me were Buff Brahmas, Salmon Faverolles, Polish, and Jersey Giants for my big breeds. And I wasn't even thinking about like colored eggs, nothing. I just wanted the fancy looking chickens. So we're going to go through that list and kind of explain what they look like, kind of their temperament. So with the Polish, they are crazy. They each have different personalities. They're very inquisitive. And I own the white crested blacks and white crested blues. So if you think of like a rock star with their hair slicked back, real poofy, that's what a Polish looks like. They really just, it looks like as baby chicks, you put a cotton ball on top of their head and you just send them on their way. So the white crested blacks are basically exactly what their name is. They're a white crest and a black body. So their poof on their head is white and their body is black, everything like that. On to the Buff Brahmas. Buff Brahmas are a like buff color. If you're watching the video, I have pictures of Buff Orpingtons in the background. They're about, that color. So buff is kind of like an orange, yellow, khaki-ish color, which khaki is a whole different chicken color, but that's a whole different thing about genetic differences and stuff. But like for a first timer, it's almost like khakis or orange or khaki color. But they have black on the tips of their tail and some that goes through their neck, and that's pretty much it. If you imagine a Buff Orpington with a black tail ish and a little bit of speckling in its neck, that's basically what a Buff Brahma is. And they are feather footed and they do not have a normal comb. They have what's called a rose comb. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I'm not the biggest on comb typing and all that, but they have one that is flat to their head. And you can really really keep them in cold weather and stuff because they are feather footed, first of all. So it's like they have snow boots on, and also they have their comb that is tight to their head so it's not sticking out like a normal rooster comb. But if you think of a salmon Faverol, okay, this is a little bit hard. It's kind of hard to explain other than going a little bit genetic. So they are like if you took Wheaton and a little bit, it's really hard to explain. A salmon Faverol, I'll talk about like it has a beard, which a lot of breeds do, but it does not lay a colored egg like an Americana would, which also has a beard. They have 5 toes rather than 4 from like a normal chicken has 4. And then when it comes to like silkies, salmon Faverols, and a few other different breeds, they have 5 toes. The salmon Faverolles are also feather footed and one of the cutest chicken breeds, in my opinion. So, like, really, I just love the salmon Faverolles. Their temperament is so nice. Like, they each have their personalities or whatever, but they're super sweet, super nice, and they're just so easy to take care of. Like, they do everything. You can throw any birds in with them, and they'll just accept them as friends. But yes, and then on to the Jersey Giants. Now, just imagine a big chicken that is black. That is what a Jersey Giant is. It has red around its face. They're very, I don't want to say basic because I like the blacks, but they're pretty much basic. I'll say that. They're a basic looking chicken that's just black. They lay tan eggs. And yeah, that's pretty much all the chicken breeds I have. But I ended up selling the jerseys because the rooster decided that he wanted to be a butthole and try to kill me. So, you know, I had to kind of not allow that. So then we started adding a few more breeds. Okay. Like we have an egg laying flock, which has a mixed variety. I don't even want to go through them because it'd be a long video going through all the different breeds I have. But I started into Saramas, which I learned very quickly that they're not what I'm into. So those started getting sold, which Saramas are the tiniest chicken in the world. I think there's some that might be a little smaller, but they're like the tiniest. Like they're just tiny and they march like soldiers. They're very cool looking, very fun, but they're just a little bit too high maintenance in my opinion for what I have going on. I have more of a fun, just throw the chickens outside and let them have fun together and they'll keep them in their breeding pens. And Saramas are more of a harder job. But then I went to Ohio Nationals, and that's where I bought Silkies and large Falcochins. So, Silkies, I learned those weren't my thing either. First of all, everybody breeds Silkies. Like, literally everybody. It seems like everybody loves the Silkies, everybody wants to breed them. But I just found with my setup, I do not have the proper means to like care for these fluffy balls of fur, which they still have feathers, but they basically look like fluff balls. And you got to be like very on top of cleaning them and all of that. And that's just not, I need some more self sufficiency in my birds. And then on to the large Falcochins. This is probably one of my favorite breeds. They are like the size of a beach ball and the same shape as well. Like they're meant to be a big ball. They have a massive head. They're feather footed, as you can tell from some of the other breeds that I'm currently breeding. I love the feathered feet. Sure, it's harder to take care of because you have to wash their feet and keep them clean and stuff, but they are the best. I absolutely love my large Falcochins, like really do. And I started breeding them, and they pretty much have done okay. I sadly lost my rooster with my trio, so I can no longer breed, but I got lucky and I kept 7 babies from their eggs. So I could still bring up that rooster that I lost and keep his genetics in with my birds. But yes, and now I'm adding more chickens in, and my mother has loved colored eggs ever since we started, and she just recently has really started getting into the colored eggs. So we started buying some different breeds. We have some adult Americanas that we bought as a pair. The girl hasn't started to lay yet, but we're working on it. She was stressed out. She's only been here a couple days. And yeah, we've got Welsh Summers, Americanas, Ermine Americanas. We've got black coppers. We've just got Morans. We've got all kinds of different stuff. And yeah, they're doing amazing. And hopefully by fall or next year or whatever, we should have plenty of colored eggs and exactly what we need. So, next up, we're going to talk about how many I have since I went through all of this crap. And there's a lot. I will tell you, there is a ton. And honestly, I'm not sure. I stopped counting after about 80 chickens. So if I had to guess, it'd be probably a 120 with all the baby chicks and stuff. So sure, it's a lot, but it doesn't feel like a lot. Once you get into the groove of starting to, like start, you really like you get your groove going and you're good. You know what you're doing and it's just the same thing every morning. So, yeah, basically this is kind of what the podcast is going to be about. I might bring a few guest people on I'm going to talk to some other, maybe my family members, because they're not as well versed in chickens as I am. And maybe I'll teach them something if they have some questions for me. Um, and we're just going to go through a lot of different stuff. Like, I'm going to talk about diseases chickens can have. I'll talk about like the best coop setup, the best brooder setup for baby chicks. What are the best bedding options, and also there's stuff I can do like the funniest interactions I had while selling chickens, the meanest interactions, the best interactions, stuff like that. And yeah, we'll start talking about more and more stuff like that. And then, yeah, we'll just start figuring out as we go what I'm going to do with this podcast. I'm really excited to be starting. Um, but yeah, pretty much that's all I'm going to talk about today. This is my intro video. So the other podcast, they're about 30 minutes to an hour. This one isn't as long, but this is mainly just my intro to let you all know what is going to be going on and how I started with chickens. So thank you guys for listening. If you guys have any questions for me, go ahead and comment them, and I'll try my best to answer them and all that, which I'm new to working on a computer and with this mic and all this big setup that we've got going on. So it might be a little difficult at first for me to like do all that, but I'm getting the groove finally. I just started the podcast after a couple weeks of figuring it out. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys for watching. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye.